안녕하세요, minasan, varagam. So, welcome back to my language related video, right? So, now I get a lot of questions like, as a polyglot, okay, so I speak about 8 or more languages, okay? So, for those of you who don't know the number of languages that I speak, I can refer to the video on the top left or top right hand corner. I can now remember here or here. Okay. So a lot of people are curious. So what language do I think in? What language do I dream in? All right. So now, here's just sharing. But it's just me. I don't know about the other polyglots, in the world. But for those of you who don't know what polyglots are people who speak a lot of languages. Okay, basically, very simple, right? So, um, a lot of people expect a simple answer like, oh, I dream in English, I think in certain language. But to me, it's not that simple. I'm not sure about the other polyglots, but to me, it's not that simple. Okay, to me, I don't think or dream in just one language. In fact, I had dreams in which I spoke in English, Mandarin, Korean, and Japanese, 4 languages in one dream. I've had that kind of dreams before, and it's actually quite common, right? And but when it comes to thinking, I don't think in one language as well. See, the thing about knowing a lot of languages and being very fluent in a lot of languages is that you start to notice that certain languages are good at certain things. Certain languages do certain things better than other languages. For example, when I count numbers, I count in Chinese, Mandarin Chinese. Why? Because Mandarin Chinese has the shortest syllabus for numbers in amongst all the languages that I know. Okay, for example, if you count to like maybe 41, now 41 in Korean is ma hen han, ma hen hana. Okay, ma hen hana. It's 4 syllables. Okay, in English is 41, 3 syllables. But in Chinese, I'll say 四一, 四二, 四三, 四四, 四一. That's 41. 41, 2 syllables. So maybe some people would say like even in Chinese, even in English, you can say 41, 42, 43, 44. But how about tens? Like let's say 13. 13. You in English is hard to say 13, 14, 15, right? It's weird. But in Chinese, it's 11, 12, 13, 14. It's still 2 syllables. In Chinese Mandarin, the counting system, the whole number system is 2 syllables, just 2 syllables. That's why to me, when I count in Chinese, because in my head I count in Chinese because it is the fastest, most convenient language for number systems. And of course, on the other end of the spectrum, the most complex number system is Korean. Yeah. When you get to 40, 50, 60s, oh, it's very, very hard. Okay, you cannot instinctively count unless you're, even if you can, it's longish, it's not convenient, right? So, but when I think about scientific things, when I think about mathematics, and I think about spirituality and a lot of this kind of thing, I think in English, because that's the language I use to read or about most of these materials. So when I read a scientific journal and stuff, they are usually in English. Okay, and so when it comes to thinking about or explaining about things like how the stock market works, how economies work, things like that, I think in English. I things like that is impossible for me to think in any other languages because I would have to do that mental translation because I never learned all those things in those languages, you see. But when it comes to everyday life, comes to expressing myself, my thinking, at least right now on an everyday basis, is Korean language. That's my daily lifestyle language. Actually, I speak Korean every day most of the time, like 90% of the time, in everyday life. And there are many expressions that you can only express through a language like Korean language. I can't do certain expressions in English at all. So like in the everyday life, if I want to do a certain kind of expression, oh, 이거 맛있는데, you know, that kind of feeling, 뭐 있잖아, that kind of feeling has grammatical structure in Korean language, but not in English, you know. Like, oh, good hair day. Okay, like for example, 나 먹었잖아. In English is, I've eaten. 나 먹었는데. In English is, I've eaten. You know, there's just no grammatical structure in English to convey that kind of feeling that I can convey through Korean language. So when it comes to those times, I think and feel in Korean language, you see or not? So there are this kind of things, like some languages are capable of doing certain things that other languages are not capable of doing so. So as you can see here, it's not a straightforward answer. As a polyglot, you start to connect in your brain, you start to take all your arsenal of languages and you start to join the dots, what works best. You start to take what is most convenient and what works best from all the languages, and you start to use them in that way in your head, you know, even though you may not speak it that way, but in your head you're going to process it that way, because once you really know that language, you start to be able to pick out the strength of that language, and then you start to, like, if you can do this, if you can think about this in this language better than the same thing in another language, you're gonna think that thing in that language, if it makes any sense to you guys, okay? But when it comes to dreaming, I dream in all kinds of languages. It's crazy. Sometimes, like I said, sometimes many languages in all at once, right? So yeah, how about you guys? How about you polyglots out there? If you speak 2 or more languages, what language do you think in? What language do you dream in? Share with us in the comments below. Alright? See you guys next time. 안녕.